Amy, I'm not super big into New Year's resolutions because I feel like the things we always commit to for resolutions should just be things we commit to the whole year. So I've been trying to get back into weightlifting
Ooh.
recently. And I've started using protein shakes again, and shaker bottles simply blow. The protein is always so clumpy, and I feel like a
Uh-huh.
total idiot using the thing, like
Yep.
shaking it like a shake weight in the middle of the gym. So I decided to ditch my shaker bottle for good and get myself a BlendJet 2 portable blender because it makes perfectly blended protein shakes in 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, BlendJet 2, it's portable, like Olivia said. So, you can blend up a smoothie at work, a protein shake at the gym, or even a margarita on the beach, which is always
Ow.
good. um, BlendJet, it's small enough to fit in a cup holder, but powerful enough to get through tough ingredients like ice, frozen fruit with ease. BlendJet 2 is also whisper quiet, so you can make your morning smoothie without waking up your whole house. And it lasts for 15 plus blends and recharges quickly via USB C. And best of all, BlendJet 2 cleans itself. You just have to blend water with a drop of soap and you're good to go. And that actually is a big deal because washing blenders is so
Oh
annoying.
my God, a
So
literal nightmare.
yeah. The easy clean is a great feature about BlendJet 2.
Hell yeah. I'm also super into like pop, like, because I'm someone who wears black, like all black,
Mhm.
almost all the time. I'm a very neutral gal, and I'm looking down at my outfit right now: black shirt, black pants, black shoes. But I'm
Same.
very much into like a really,
Uh-huh.
really bright pop of color. So I'm very into like hot pink and bright orange. And I'm
Yeah.
currently obsessed with the bright orange color they have on their site.
Mhm.
They have a ton of other colors also and designs, cute, like, partnership ones with Disney and stuff.
Mhm.
So there's no other portable blender on the market that comes close to the quality, power, and innovation of the BlendJet 2. They guarantee you'll love it or your money back. So go to blendjet.com and grab yours today. Be sure to use the promo code GGS12 to get 12% off your order and free 2-day shipping.
Hello.
Cryptids. Heyo.
Cryptids. We're
I'm
back.
Olivia.
And I'm Amy. And
And this
we
is
like cryptids.
Girls Gone Spooky. Wow, we're really in sync today.
We rehearsed that.
We rehearsed that, you guys.
And it went all wrong.
Um, yeah, it went all wrong, but it's okay. It's just one of those days, Um,
Mhm.
we're talking cryptids, you guys, and I think we've definitely talked about some cryptids before. Like, some have gotten their own episode, like
Mhm.
Bigfoot and the
Yeah.
Jersey Devil.
Mhm.
But we're talking like general cryptids.
Yes.
And I got a book for
Yeah.
Crema from
That's
my
amazing.
uncle called The United States of Cryptids: A Tour of American Myths and Monsters by J.W. Ocker. So
Wow.
I will be using this book exclusively for my part.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to read one little like excerpt quickly from the introduction,
Okay.
because I think it'll be helpful, and then I'll pass it over to you because I know you're
Okay.
starting today.
Sounds good.
So the definition of a cryptid, which I didn't actually know, like I know I could tell you if something is or isn't a cryptid, but I didn't know
Mhm.
actually what it was.
Mhm.
So according to this book, a cryptid is a creature or species whose existence is scientifically unproven. Maybe it's been witnessed or rumored to exist, maybe it's even been caught on video, but there is no definitive physical evidence to examine, no body to dissect, no remains to analyze. Scientists place those creatures in the category of fantasy instead of zoology. Cryptozoologists, though, who study and pursue cryptids, place them in the entirely separate category of cryptozoology. So that's
Interesting.
the definition, which I thought was interesting. And like he refers to some like cryptozoology, like museums and stuff that are really famous throughout the United
Cool.
States. So I'll reference
Mhm.
some of those in a bit. But I figured I'd just throw out a little definition for us. And this will likely be a multi-parter because there are just so
Yeah.
many of them.
Yeah. Mhm.
And some may take up whole episodes, but with
Yeah.
that,
And there's also new ones I feel like appearing. At least
yeah.
this morning when I woke up, I had or how did I end up there? I don't know. Something showed me a new cryptid that looked like the Loch
Oh.
Ness Monster, but in North
Oh.
Carolina.
I may be
So,
talking about that today. I can't remember if it's North Carolina, but we'll get there.
okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So,
Yay.
um, okay, cryptids. So, first of all, though, I, when I was doing this research, I think I was on like cryptids with a z.org. So, a very reputable source.
I love it.
And they told me to take a quiz to find out which cryptid I am. Can
What
you
are you?
guess which one?
Mothman?
No, but it's the worst one. I am
Oh no.
the chupacabra.
Oh, you have to send me that quiz. I have to
Okay,
take it.
I will. The questions are really odd. It was like, are you sexy and beautiful? Are you creepy looking? Like weird stuff like that. So I
Are
don't know.
you sexy or creepy looking?
Yeah. There's no in between.
Oh my God. So that reminds me, some of my friends at work like have sort of like bastardized the word creepy to mean like a plethora of things. And one of
Mhm.
them's like just anything that you just like are like, that doesn't look good. Like
Mm.
my friend is like, this PowerPoint slide, like, this is just a creepy slide. Like it needs to be fixed. It's creepy
I
right
like
now.
that.
I like it too.
It's creepy.
It's creepy, dude. Like
Yeah.
I'm just having like a creepy ass day, you know? Just having one of those days.
I might start using that. We'll spread
So
it to the
funny. Oh my
US.
God. Dead. Please, let's do it.
Amazing. Okay, so here we go. All right, the cryptid that I think inspired this topic for today is one that we saw on Instagram not that long ago. And in that video, it was called the Yosemite Nightcrawler. But I learned that it's not specific to Yosemite because the first sighting of this kind of creature was actually in Fresno, California,
Mm,
and it was in a residential neighborhood of all
mm.
places. So the story of the first sighting was in 2007, and that a man named Jose, and that's the only excuse me, identifier he wanted to give because they
Okay.
were afraid. Um,
Yeah.
he lived in a home that backed up to like an empty field. It was either a park or just an empty lot. I'm not sure.
Fucking creepy
Yeah.
already.
Uh-huh. But it was late at night and Jose's dogs were barking and barking. So in the morning, Jose decided to check his security footage.
Mm.
And
Uh-oh.
the footage captured this like kind of wobbly, bright white figure. And for lack of a better description, it looks like a pair of pants, just like walking on its own.
I forgot what
Yeah.
this was.
Uh-huh.
I was like, what was this called? Oh
Yeah.
my God. Okay, yes, sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, how would you describe it? Doesn't it just look like two
Literally a
legs? But they're like
oh,
shiny, bright white stands out in
mhm.
the darkness. So it's odd. It's very odd. Um, but Jose shared that footage that he captured with the Spanish language news outlet Univision or Univision, because he was trying to find answers for what he possibly had seen. But as far as I can tell, not much came from him sharing that with the news. And the Fresno Nightcrawler didn't appear again, um, and still hasn't in Fresno. But
Oh, interesting.
in 2011 is when they appeared in Yosemite, which is the video that we saw.
Mm. Okay,
Um,
yeah.
and in that one, there's two of them that look identical to the original Fresno Nightcrawler, just two pairs of pants walking around and in the woods.
of all.
Uh-huh. Yep, truly. But the interesting thing about that is that it was captured on a security camera that was placed by the National Park Service. So
Oh,
it was like
interesting.
they're the ones that noticed that on the
Yeah.
security footage because they had been noticing some property damage around maybe like a visitor center or wherever it
Oh,
was.
interesting.
Yes. So I don't know. The National Park Service doesn't seem like someone who would doctor a
No,
video, but
no. Also,
maybe,
I just realized that their acronym would be NPS.
yeah.
No pussy shit.
Uh-huh. Yep, the NPS.
Our mascot is biting me.
Oh.
Ow! Stop, demon. He's like, you better be talking about me, your favorite cryptid.
Yeah, he's a cryptid, little
Bat
bat
cat.
cat. Bat cat.
Bat cat. Beep beep. Okay, sorry, continue.
No, that's okay. So yeah, National Park Service, they captured that. But again, as far as I could tell, there haven't been any further sightings of the night crawlers in Yosemite either. But there have been a few others of things that look a lot like the night crawlers. One in Montana, one in Indiana, and one all the way out in Poland, which is a
Whoa.
real outlier. Um, the one in Indiana wasn't recorded, but it was just recounted that he had seen
Mm.
this by a guy who noticed one off the side of the road while he was riding his motorcycle.
Um,
And then, let's see, the sighting in Montana was captured on home security footage, but the one in Poland looks like it was captured on a handheld camera because it's like very shaky.
yeah.
And the sighting in Montana was accompanied by the story that the following morning, right near where the nightcrawler had been seen, there was left a freshly dead deer. um,
Oh.
and I think that that is maybe just added to sensationalize the whole thing,
Yeah.
like try to make people question whether this is like an evil
And
entity or
it's
whatever.
carnivorous or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah. But I think in the majority of the state of Montana, I mean, unless you're in one of the bigger cities, it's probably not rare to have wildlife show up in your
No.
yard. So
Yeah.
I question that one.
Yeah.
But um, some explanations that have been offered by
Oh, yeah.
those who believe this is a hoax include a deer standing on its hind legs, which, what?
Oh,
um,
okay. And walking
yeah, no, because they showed in one video I watched a deer standing on its hind legs to grab something off a tree or whatever.
yeah,
But
sure.
how would it
For a
move?
second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I don't
not
buy
that
it.
one. No. They also wondered if it was people using puppets on a small set and they just filmed it to look like it was life size.
What?
I
It's like
question that.
that, like, baby in La Palma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
Oh,
oh. When she coughs up the corn.
yeah.
So it's this video we were, like, obsessed with in university where it's this, like, little baby, and she's probably, like, 1 and a
Mhm.
half, maybe.
Yeah.
She's little or maybe 2,
Mhm.
but sh they put her on this, like, baby-sized set with, like, little, like, dolls, like, to be, like, other bar patrons,
Uh-huh.
and she's like a monster in this bar. She's, like, coughing up shit and, like, shoving her, like, food and hand in her mouth,
Uh-huh.
like, it's so funny. She's, like, stomping around. They give her, like, a little karaoke situation,
Oh,
and she's
yeah.
like, "Oh, oh." And
It's
they,
so
like, have
good.
all the little dolls, like, looking at her like, "What the
Yeah.
fuck?" Like, she's basically Godzilla. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
You should look it up,
She's like
any
that.
listeners,
Yeah.
because I think it's called Baby Drunk at Las Palmas or something
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah, okay.
which is even
We'll
funnier because they
we'll
give
put
her
it
like
at
fake beers.
apple juice, and she's, like,
Yeah.
slamming them. We'll put it on our Facebook. It's so
Yes.
funny.
Love that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, similar concept for these walking pants, these night crawlers using a set.
Walking pants.
They also said people walking on stilts, but if you what?
Oh,
That's
that's
just
really
like too
funny.
much.
So
Why would they
much.
do that?
A moving troupe of like circus
Right.
performers
Yeah.
caught on camera, and everyone's like, cryptids.
Yeah. But I don't believe that one also because if you've ever walked on stilts, it's like very jolty.
Yeah,
Not
very good.
and
This is
these look
smooth.
yeah, they're like a jellyfish kind of.
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre. So we should definitely share the video.
Yeah, we'll for
Um,
sure post that.
but yeah, so those are their theories. And on one hand, it does seem like footage like that that's all grainy, recorded at someone's home could be easy to fake. But a show called Fact or Faked on the Sci Fi channel,
Mm.
they tried to recreate the footage using a few
Oh,
different
interesting.
techniques, and they weren't able to do it in a way that looked like the original videos. So,
And why would the National Park Service do that?
right.
Like, that
Yeah.
would have the opposite effect. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like it would scare people, and then people wouldn't come to the park.
Right. Or at least they would, like, if it was Halloween or April
Yeah, and then
Fools or
they'd be like,
something.
"Just
Yeah.
kidding." Yeah,
Gotcha. Yeah.
yeah.
So I doubt it. And then the other interesting part is that someone posted on Reddit at some point a series of pictures of wooden statues that look exactly like these night crawlers, the same shape. Um, and people were guessing just by the style and the artistry of it that it might be Native American.
Oh.
And so there was one source that said that some Native American authority on this subject had said, no, this isn't something of our folklore. But then another person in a different article did say that some people who are native to the Fresno area have said that the night crawlers resemble a creature from their folklore that has its long legs so it's able to move smoothly through swamps, which
Oh.
I don't know my California geography that well, but I think there are some wetland areas
Yeah.
around there.
Marshland for
Yeah,
sure.
so could be. But that's the night crawlers. They're like pretty
Walking
mysterious.
pants.
Yeah, and they've only
Yeah.
been seen a few times, so it is kind of hoaxy, but it's still
Mhm.
interesting to ponder.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, they couldn't recreate the footage, like, that's the
Mhm.
weirdest part about cryptids, right? Is, like, there's no body, there's no
Mhm.
evidence, like, that's physical for us to, like, assess, but it would be like, you could argue, like, the video glitched or it was some, like, bug or something and it made it look like this, but it's, like, to
Mhm.
capture the same thing on video multiple times and then to not be able to recreate it is weird
Yeah.
to me.
I agree. Yeah. And in also two very different locations. I mean,
Yeah.
the Fresno and the Yosemite, maybe, I don't know, they're
Yeah.
close. But Indiana, Montana, Poland, out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
So
So
bizarre.
I don't know. But I have one other cryptid to discuss that
Ooh.
I first learned about this on another podcast, and I really hope I'm
Oh.
not confusing like that we did this and I'm thinking I only heard it on another
Oh.
podcast, but I don't think so. Because I don't think I've done it. So if you did, then sorry. And today you're getting my version of the story. So this cryptid is called the Mothman. And
I searched my notes and I don't have it in my notes, so I
okay,
don't think
good.
we did it. If we
Okay.
did, it would have been like a brief mention.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. He is interesting. And fun fact about me is I am very afraid of moths.
So, if anyone remembers the trend of, like, those moth memes where
Uh-huh.
it's, like, basically a moth and then, like, the light is like a character. We'll have to like find some because
Yeah.
I haven't seen one in a long time, but they were
No.
fucking funny. Like it's moths
Mhm.
just fiending for these lights. And it's so damn funny. It's so stupid, but it's so fucking
Uh-huh.
funny. So we'll have
Yeah.
to find that. We've got a lot of stuff to post.
Yeah,
Like
we
not
do.
super creepy stuff, but
Yeah.
just like relevant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those were hilarious. What a time.
So funny.
I'll find some. I remember one with like the Eiffel Tower, maybe, but
Oh
we'll
God, the
find it.
city of lights. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
something
Yes.
like that. We'll find it.
Yeah.
But okay, so Mothman, he was first spotted by a group of grave diggers. Odd. In
Dude.
Yeah,
Come on.
I know. They were in Clendenin, West Virginia, and it was on November 12th, 1966, so quite a while ago. And they described seeing a brown human like being bounding from tree to tree above them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it resembles a man because it has two legs, but it has big wings.
Okay.
So that's why they call it the
Mothy.
Mothman, because it's
Okay.
clearly kind of
Both.
humanoid.
Yeah.
Um, so then 3 days later, on November 15th, 1966, in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is at about an hour from where the gravediggers saw this,
Hmm.
two couples noticed a white winged creature about 6 or 7 feet tall standing
Oh.
standing in front of the car that they were all sitting in. And I'm not sure how fast news traveled. Like, did those grave diggers
60s.
report it to the papers and the papers printed
Yeah.
it or something? But it'd be interesting to know if these two
Yeah.
couples didn't know what the grave diggers had seen.
Yeah.
But I'm
Right.
not sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, creepy.
Oh, that's weird. Also, 6 or 7 feet tall.
Hmm.
That's like a big
Too
Mothman.
tall.
Too
Yes,
tall.
very big Mothman. um, so these eyewitnesses were two of them were named Roger Scarberry and Steve Mallet, and they told their local paper that the beast had bright red eyes about 6 inches apart, a wingspan of 10 feet, and the apparent urge to avoid the bright headlights of the car, which
Oh,
makes me laugh.
interesting. Yeah.
Um, I guess that's the moth part, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but according to witnesses, this creature was able to fly at incredible speeds, perhaps as fast as 100 miles per hour, which I think is clearly an estimate. Um,
Yeah, that's really
yeah,
fast.
very fast. Um, but so he was better at flying and he looked clumsy running on the ground.
Oh.
Um, and they knew this because this being, Mothman, uh, he chased their car to the
Oh.
outskirts of town. So they drove away finally after they were like, "What is that?" And it followed them. So that's creepy.
That is really
Um,
creepy.
yeah. So more and more sightings were reported in the Point Pleasant area over the next year as the legend of the Mothman took place. There were 8 additional sightings in the short span of 3 days after these first two claims. So I don't know about that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, this included two volunteer firefighters who said they saw a very large bird with red eyes.
Oh, red eyes. It's always creepy.
Hmm. Always. And then one of the stories that people really like to point to was someone named Newell Partridge, who lived in Salem, West Virginia. He claimed that he was watching TV and suddenly all these strange patterns started appearing on the screen. And
Hmm.
then he started hearing sounds outside. So he shined his flashlight toward the direction of the noise, and Partridge supposedly witnessed two red eyes resembling bicycle reflectors looking back at him. And the reason this remains popular is because his dog disappeared. So people think that the
Oh.
Mothman took the dog because he
Oh
did disappear the
no.
night that happened.
Oh, I hate
So,
that.
yeah, poor
Poor
baby.
doggo.
But that might be another one of like with the
Yeah.
nightcrawler and the
Station
deer.
missing.
It's, yeah. So,
Right. So it could have been a mountain lion or
mhm,
something.
exactly. So, who knows? But um, they try to explain this one by saying it's either a really large raven, which either way. Oh no, your sound cut out.
Oh wait, am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Okay.
Okay, sorry, I accidentally muted myself. A
Okay.
6 or 7 foot raven
Yeah.
feels like
I'm
a massive stretch.
I'm not buying that one. Not at
That's
all.
and white winged? Are there white
Yeah,
ravens?
I don't think
Albino
so.
ravens? Maybe.
Maybe. Either
With
way,
legs?
it's
With
yeah,
human legs?
human legs. Yeah, and red
Right?
eyes. I don't know.
Yeah, don't love that.
Um yeah, so I'm not okay with a raven of that
Oh.
size either. Um
Also,
but
Amy also doesn't, like, love birds, so
yeah.
this
And
one is
that's
really, like, your worst nightmare.
yeah, but that's because they don't like me because
Yeah,
I get
they shit on you.
yes, regularly.
Sorry. No
No,
decorum with that, they
you
shit on
should
you.
see what's on my car. It, like, is the biggest bird poop I've ever seen. It was like it must be a goose because it's like
Ugh,
nothing I've ever seen.
gross.
Not that that's important,
Gross.
but just
It's
saying.
supposed to be good luck. Maybe they're trying to send you
Yeah,
good
good
tidings,
vibes.
good vibes.
Yeah, that's odd. That's probably something they say just to make people feel better about
100%.
getting shit
That's
on.
why. Yeah, absolutely.
um, yeah, okay. So then the other thing was from a professor at West Virginia University, and he said it might be a sandhill crane, which
Oh.
I can maybe see because those can be really tall and they do have two legs. And they also have bright red skin
Oh,
around
they
their eyes.
do.
Yeah. So could be. But then some people took that further and they hypothesized that if it is a crane, maybe it's deformed because it
Oh.
might have resided in the quote TNT area, which is a name that locals gave to a series of nearby bunkers that were once used for
Oh.
manufacturing munitions during World War II.
Oh, interesting.
And it has been suggested that these bunkers have leaked toxic materials into the neighboring wildlife preserve. So
Oh, that's
maybe.
terrible. Yeah.
So that's possible. But then let me see. The the biggest thing, well, we'll get to it. Okay. So a few years later, or just 1 year later, on December 15th, 1967, there's this bridge that connects West Virginia to Ohio, and it's right
Mhm.
near Point Pleasant where we've been. And this bridge was built in 1928, and it wasn't that well built. And it was built at a time when cars were a lot lighter than they were in the 60s. So it had a capacity to hold like oh wait, no, that's wrong. Sorry. The Model T that was popular at the time it was built was 1,500 pounds, where the average car in 1967 was 4,000 pounds. So
Whoa. Okay.
they grew a lot, and the structure
Yeah.
of the bridge wasn't good, and the engineers didn't, they said very little redundancy so that if one part
Oh,
failed, then the
the
whole
whole thing
thing would
would.
fail.
Yeah.
So on that day in December, there was a lot of traffic on the bridge, and a
No.
single eye bar near the top of the bridge on the Ohio side cracked. The chain snapped, and the bridge fell to pieces, plunging cars and pedestrians into the water of the Ohio River.
Oh my God. I've
Yeah,
never heard of this.
yeah. I hadn't either until the other podcast that I listened to, and 46 people died either by drowning or being crushed by the wreckage. So,
Oh my God, that's so devastating.
yeah, it's a tragic, very, yeah, just horrible
What the heck?
disaster. So, um, Following the Mothman sightings, the bridge collapse was the second terrible and bizarre thing to put Point Pleasant on the map within 1 year. So it didn't take long for some people to try to connect the two.
Yeah.
So people were trying to say that the
Oh my gosh.
Mothman may have caused this bridge to collapse,
Broke the eye bar.
which I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
um, it's
Seems
a
like,
little silly.
yeah, maybe correlation at its best, but like
Uh-huh.
never causation.
Yeah, no, it can't get there. So people, yeah, I think maybe they just wanted something to blame, so they,
Understandably, I mean, it's
yeah,
tragic.
hmm they brought in the Mothman,
They
and
brought in the Mothman as a
yeah,
scapegoat.
yeah. But I didn't realize there are books and movies that have been written about the Mothman, including
Oh,
one that has Richard Gere in it, who's like a fairly high profile
what?
actor.
Yeah.
Um, and now this town of Point Pleasant has a giant statue of the Mothman. They have a Mothman museum and
Oh my
a
God.
Mothman festival, which I looked it up and I think it's on my birthday this year.
Shut
So
up.
maybe we should
Oh
go
my
to the
God.
Mothman
Yeah.
festival in
I
West
feel like that
Virginia.
would be your least favorite way to spend your
Yeah,
birthday.
probably so. But
Like, oh, turning 30, let's get surrounded by
mhm.
moths.
Oh God, I forgot I'm
Um,
turning 30. Whoa.
sorry.
It's okay.
Um, it's also referenced in Riverdale, the
Oh,
TV show.
really? Oh,
Yeah, I just remembered that. It's like he's like a cult leader though. Not actually a cult leader, but like some underground, like I don't know, there's a lot that show got really weird.
odd. Yeah.
Um yeah. So, well, anyway, I don't remember the details, but it was referenced for sure.
Okay. So they
I
had the
remember.
Mothman like a human.
Yeah, I guess. Let me see if I can find let
Interesting.
me see if I can find how they did it. Yeah, it's Mothmen. Sorry,
Oh,
Mothmen.
okay.
Oh, they're aliens.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, sorry. But they're humanoid creatures that take refuge in Riverdale and yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, that show really like went off course kind of after the first season.
I mean, like really off
Yeah.
course. Like it went yeah, it went
hmm
bonkers.
Derailed. Yeah.
Derailed. I still love it, to be honest. I still watch it.
I haven't watched it in
Entertaining as hell.
forever. Yeah.
It's just
Maybe
like
I'll
they're
pick it up.
all really good looking and they're like our
Mhm.
age in real life.
Yeah.
They're not high schoolers. So
Yeah.
I'm
No.
like, it's fine.
Might as
Just
well.
stare at KJ Appa for the
Yeah.
rest of my life. There
hmm
are worse things to look
Yeah.
at.
No problem there.
No problem.
No problem. But those were my cryptids,
Oh, I
my
love it.
pals.
My pals, my cryptid chums.
Yeah.
Um, okay, well, I have a few, and since this will probably be a bit of a series, we may not do them all back to back, but I figured I'd do it according to how this book is organized, which is by regions of the US.
Okay.
So I'm not going to cover all of them because some of them we've already covered, and also some of them are just like very like upfront. It's like this was a hoax, like it
Mm.
was confirmed to be a
Yeah.
hoax, but
Okay.
it's still included here. So I'm not doing all of them.
Okay.
But I thought this first one was so funny because it's considered to be America's Loch Ness monster. I didn't know we
Oh,
had one.
I didn't either.
And it's named Champ.
Oh, how cute.
Champ.
I
So
like that.
it's interesting because the way that it's laid out is like he divides the book into, or they, I actually don't know if it's a guy, the author, but it's the whole thing's divided into regions of the US, and then he like talks about the cryptids one by one, but each has like a little like stat card at the top, so it'll say like the type of cryptid, the earliest sighting, the location, and the size for every single one.
That's
So this
cool.
one is an aquatic type. The earliest sighting was 1819.
Whoa.
Yeah. Location Burlington, Vermont, and Port Henry, New York. And the size is somewhere between 15 and 50 feet long.
Oh,
So
it's a
wide
wide
range.
range. Uh-huh.
Wide range. So it is called Champ because it is in Lake Champlain. which
Oh.
is kind of interesting.
Mhm.
So, and what's funny is like how the location says Burlington and Port Henry, Vermont and New York, respectively. They
Mhm.
like fight over who owns Champ. Like
Aw.
Champ belongs
Yeah.
to both of them, they think. So they
Uh-huh.
have like a little tug of war happening over that. So I'll just read like a little bit of background. So Lake Champlain covers 435 square miles, drops to a depth of 400 feet, and contains
Wow.
almost 7 trillion gallons of water.
Wow.
Yeah, it has 587 miles of shoreline, more than 70 islands, and borders 2 states as well as Canada. It's one of the largest lakes in the country. So, obviously, lots of room to hide a monster.
Yes.
So sightings began in the early 19th century, 1819 to be exact, and spanned the length of the lake. A scow captain named Crumb,
Victor Crumb.
without the B, which is even better,
Oh. Mhm.
um, he caught sight of the monster in Bulwaga Bay on the New York side. In the Plattsburgh Republican, he described it as about 187 feet long as fuck.
Yeah.
Um, It's head flat with 3 teeth, two on in the under and one in the upper jaw. The
Wait,
color black
three
with
teeth. Sorry.
yeah,
He
two
only has
bottom teeth,
three teeth.
one yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The color black with a star on the forehead and a belt of
Oh.
red around the neck. The eyes large and the color of peeled onion.
Oh.
Like, you mean white or
Interesting.
like
Yeah. Purple?
purple? Like, what are we
Yeah.
saying?
Hmm.
Um, railroad workers
Willowed.
Ra- Railroad workers on the shores of Dresden, New York, saw a massive fish-tailed serpent swimming toward them. University students in Burlington, Vermont, witnessed the creature slicing through the water, a good 15 feet of its head and neck visible. Most of the accounts are very similar, featuring boaters or picnickers or vacationers who see a large-headed serpentine creature minding its own business on the water. Eventually, the creature became so famous that P.T. Barnum, showman and founder of the famous Barnum and Bailey Circus, wrote the Whitehall Times of New York and offered a $50,000 reward, which at the time was a lot of
Yeah.
money, for the quote hide of the great Champlain serpent. Like, why would you do that? You like
Of
hunt it.
course.
It's like,
Yeah.
come on, guys.
Of course, he's the one that
Well,
would do that.
right. Over the centuries, descriptions of the beast have evolved from a here be monster style humped sea serpent to a slightly more scientific seeming oceanic dinosaur, or technically an extinct marine reptile, with a long neck, bulbous body, and flippers. A plesiosaur. Plesiosaur, yeah. And while a dinosaur in a lake is just as strange as a sea serpent in a lake, cryptozoologists remind us that Lake Champlain and surrounding parts of Vermont, New York, and Canada were once submerged under the Champlain Sea, which extended to the Atlantic Ocean during the last ice age. So, multiple ancient whale skeletons from this period have actually been found in Vermont, including the Charlotte whale, a beluga skeleton discovered in 1849 that today is the state marine fossil. I didn't
Wow.
know states had marine fossils.
I
I
didn't
love
either.
that.
Uh-huh.
I guess the landlocked ones wouldn't, but that's interesting. Um, Over the past 2 centuries, sightings have waxed and waned like the humps on Champ's own back, totaling a few hundred according to some tallies. And then in the late 20th century, the Champ case was bestowed that holy grail of cryptozoology, a blurry photograph. On July 5th, 1977, a vacationing tourist named Sandra Mancy was picnicking on the shores of the Vermont side of Champlain near St. Albans with her family. She saw a large brown head on a long neck breach the water. So she grabbed her Kodak and shot a photo that became almost as legendary as this quote surgeon's photo, which is the best known photograph of the Loch Ness monster, which was a hoax. We talked about that in the Loch Ness episode. Mancy's Kodak moment, which had the benefit of being in full color, has never had that kind of reckoning and was featured everywhere from Time magazine to the New York Times. Champ was dubbed America's Loch Ness Monster. So there's no like real good conclusion with that. It's similar to Loch Ness, where there's
Yeah.
like not really great evidence in either direction. The changing description is always a little bit hoaxy feeling, but at the same time, a serpentine creature would be kind of fluid in its body. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to say, like, it might have looked humped if it were curving in that
Right.
moment.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
just kind of an interesting one.
Yeah.
Um,
I like to believe in Loch Ness monster kind of
Me too.
creatures. They're just
Me
not,
too.
they're not harming anyone.
No, and they seem like one of the most plausible, right?
Hmm.
Like a gigantic eel,
Yeah.
basically, or something
True.
similar to that, or like a
Yeah.
water snake kind of
Yeah.
thing. I don't know. They just seem, especially for like a super deep body of water, it's like,
Hmm.
well, it seems feasible to me,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I don't know.
Hmm.
There's one that I'm skipping, but I just want to give a nod to its name because it's really funny.
Okay.
It's called the Wampa Hoofus. And it's called that as in like
Uh-huh.
I think like cattywampus
Yeah.
because its legs are different lengths because it
Oh,
walks on like steep, like sheer cliff sides.
whoa.
So I'm skipping that one
Interesting.
because it seems very hoaxy, but
Okay. That's
interesting.
interesting.
Yes. So the next one is, let's see, I skipped the Jersey Devil because we already covered that one. One thing I wanted to just give another quick plug to is the International Cryptozoology Museum, which is
Oh,
actually located in Portland, Maine, which I thought was
oh,
so
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Portland, Maine, Portland and Maine. The way
Okay.
they wrote it here, I was like, wait a minute,
Hmm.
there's a to there. In Portland and Maine, and it's funny because it's in Bangor, Maine, which is
Hmm.
where Stephen King lives. And I was like, oh, how
Oh.
cute! It's like up the street apparently
Uh-huh.
from his house. I was like, I want to
Oh,
go
cool.
there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an interesting one. Okay, the next one is the Snallygaster. So this is an
Oh,
aerial type.
who is giving
Earliest
these
sighting,
names?
I don't know, but they're great.
Hmm.
Um, Earliest sighting was 1909, located in Western Maryland, and most notable feature is a beak full of tentacles.
Uh, flying through the air?
Really creepy looking. Like
Oh,
I can show you, and I'll take a photo of it to post. But like,
ew. That is
yeah,
creepy. One
yeah, super
eye.
creepy. One eye. So their description is excellent. The Snallygaster looks like a chicken crossed with a dragon choking on an octopus, which like
That's
accurate.
accurate. Yeah.
It has wings, claws, a sharp beak full of tentacles, either one eye or three, and a long tail. It likes to eat people. It also
Hmm.
may have died a long time ago, dissolved in a vat of moonshine. Um, we'll get to that. It's a difficult creature to imagine, but if you ever find yourself in Sykesville, Maryland, just outside of Baltimore, you don't have to. In 2018, the town installed a scavenger hunt of 10 small murals in the alleyways and on the buildings of the town's main street, each painting by a different artist. In one mural, a pair of girls encounters a small fairy winged reptile. In another, a full grown, tentacle bearded monster swoops over a flooded town. So, like they make kind of a joke about it,
Hmm.
but the real story is old. So, they've modernized it and made, light of it. So in Maryland's Frederick and Washington counties, where German immigrants brought the legend of a reptile bird called the Schnellergeist, which means fast ghost. Um, they basically brought this legend from Germany and spread it in this part of Maryland. They hung stars called hex signs on their barns to protect themselves from it and other monstrous misfortunes. And stars that you can actually still see today on barns in the area, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
According to local legends, over the centuries, the Snallygaster's train whistle of a screech could be heard echoing among the mountains and valleys, and that's if you were lucky. If you were unlucky, it would attack you, either draining your blood or eating you in gruesome chunks with its sharp beak and teeth and tentacles. Blech.
Wow. What an image.
So it wasn't until 1909 that the creature firmly planted its talons in Maryland lore, at around the same time that the Jersey Devil was spotted further north. Some speculate witnesses may have even seen the same creature. So something, maybe it's the same thing, possibly. Reports poured in of a winged beast flying around South Mountain and attacking people. In one report, the snallygaster plucked one man from the ground, flew to the top of a hill, and punctured his jugular with its beak.
Oh, God.
Scary.
Yeah.
In another, a hunter took a shot at it as it flew overhead, but the bullet merely caromed off its
Hmm.
hide, and enraged it. The hunter escaped by jumping into a stable. The snallygaster was even supposed to have laid eggs near the towns of Burkittsville and Gapland. Eventually, both the flurry of articles and the flap of its wings faded from the worries of Western Maryland. But in 1932, it lanced the air of the region again, terrorizing the populace anew with death and dismemberment from above. But then, mere weeks after its reemergence in the media, the Middletown Valley Register announced that the snallygaster had died.
Hmm.
According to the story, it was drawn to Frog Hollow in Washington County by the fumes of a 2,500-gallon vat of moonshine, but the fumes were too much for it, and they wilted the creature out of the air directly into the boiling lye-filled mash, dissolving it to bones. So
Wow.
it's like the moonshiners, obviously, which is illegal, then
Yeah.
ran away, afraid the commotion would draw the authorities, which it did. So
Hmm.
Prohibition officers George Danforth and Charles Cushwa were soon on the scene. Quote, imagine our feeling when our eyes feasted on the monster submerged in the liquor vat, said Danforth to the
Oh.
paper. A monster wasn't going to keep them from their duty to dry up the county, though, so they laced the place with 560 pounds of dynamite and blew everything to legend.
Oh,
So
wow.
that feels convenient to
Mm-hmm.
me, but
Very.
I,
Yeah.
um,
Hmm.
yeah. So that one's kind of interesting. But it's interesting that it came about at the same time as the Jersey Devil. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if because remember that was the Leeds child that was born like a monster, basically like
Right.
Rosemary's Baby style.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you wonder if they were the same thing or if the authorities just wanted people to chill the fuck out about it and
Right.
call it
Made the
dead.
story.
So
Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So that one's a little sus, but
Yeah. It's
it's an
still
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, it's an
What
interesting
what a horrifying image of a
one. Yeah.
weird tentacle mouth killing you
And then
out of the
yeah,
air.
yeah, like jabbing you in the jugular with its
Yeah.
beak. Blech.
Mm-mm.
Gross. Okay, the next one is the Gloucester sea serpent, which is an aquatic type located in Gloucester, Massachusetts. I'm not sure that I'm saying that right, but
Gloucester?
Gloucester,
Gloucester?
Gloucester, is that it?
I think so,
Gloucester?
but I don't know that for
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
Someone
we'll
tell
call it
us.
Gloucester.
Yeah.
Um, Earliest sighting was 1817. 60 to 100 feet long, and this is my favorite descriptor, 3 feet thick. Not wide,
Uh-huh.
3 feet thick.
Thick. Uh-huh.
Um, Thick boy. Okay, so this is perhaps the most well documented cryptid in history.
Ooh.
Its appearance was no brief splash and blurry picture. No, this sea serpent boldly displayed itself for 2 whole years off the coast of Cape Ann in Massachusetts. In that time, it was seen by thousands of people, both from the shores of Gloucester and in the water. It was studied
Wow.
by scientists and attacked by sailors. Crowds numbering in the hundreds watched it cavort in the waves for hours. Its fame spanned the ocean, with Europeans calling it the Great American Sea Serpent. Writer and podcaster Rob Morphy described it on the site of Cryptopia as one of the most scientifically respected encounters in the annals of cryptozoology and one of the great unsolved mysteries of the sea. Which is like
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of it, maybe because
Mm-mm.
we're not on the East Coast, but
Yeah.
um, no one has bothered to give it an affectionate nickname like its freshwater cousins, Nessie, Chessie, Bessie, Tahoe Tessie, to name a few examples. That might be because the diminutive Glosty sounds awful,
Yeah.
uh, like one of the negative side effects of a pharmaceutical. Nevertheless, the Gloucester sea serpent truly earned its place among the greats. And the magic began August 1817 when a long, humpy thing was found swimming around the Cape. It had a flattened serpentine head as big as a horse, somewhere between 60 and 100 feet long, 3 feet thick, dark in
Mm-hmm.
color, had a 4 foot long tongue.
Whoa.
4 feet, the size of a small child.
Yeah.
Too long. I don't
Yeah.
want to in the
No.
water.
Wow.
Yeah. So, over the next 2 years, so till 1819, the serpent starred in a long running game of cat and mouse. Sailors reportedly shot it in the head twice at close range, but the musket balls bounced off harmlessly, also like old school fucking guns.
Yeah.
Um, a harpoon tossed at it was similarly ineffective. Landlubbers searched for monster eggs on shore. It was sighted so often in the city that people thought catching it was inevitable. So inevitable that a shed was preemptively built near Fennoy Hall in Boston to house its carcass. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. It's got a funky,
Faniel,
like,
I think.
Faniel. Okay,
I
it's got
think
a like
so.
French spelling.
Hmm.
Writer Ben Shattuck phrased it best when he wrote in a Salon article that this serpent was in their harbor, right under their noses, something equivalent to a Sasquatch walking across the parking lot of a hunting expo. Which is just like so funny.
Hmm.
So at one point, a lumpy 4 foot long snake was found on land and delivered to this society called the Linnaean Society of New England, which is a proto scientific society. And they deemed it to be the sea serpent's offspring and dubbed the species Scoliophis atlanticus. Further analysis revealed that the smaller creature was merely a deformed snake. Still, through all of that, the Gloucester sea serpent kept undulating. And in those 2 years, although nobody could catch it, nobody could debunk it either. Eventually, like some feral cat you feed from your back porch until one day it doesn't show up, Gloucester's snake head submerged forever. So it disappeared in that time, but it was like 2 years of like bold
Yeah.
sightings where people
Right.
would watch it for a while, like
Yeah.
hanging out in the
Minutes.
water.
Right.
And people, were trying to hit it from close range and everything. Super weird.
Yeah. What could it
Which
be?
makes me too similar to like, what was the other one that they said might have died? The
I already
Schneller guy,
forgot.
Snallygaster.
Yeah.
But like, what if it died?
Hmm.
Like if it was the last of its kind and it
Yeah,
died off,
that's true.
or
Right.
something else deformed out in the
Hmm.
ocean, which I'm sure is possible because
Yeah.
hashtag pollution.
Yeah.
Um,
Fortunately.
this one really makes me laugh. It is called
Okay.
a puckwudgie. The names are just so good.
Pukwudgie.
Um, and the little subtitle is Porcupine People of Bridgewater Triangle.
Oh, I like it. Porcupine
Yeah.
people.
So, yeah, it's a humanoid type located in Bridgewater Triangle, Massachusetts. Earliest sighting is prehistory, which,
Hmm.
okay, a
How do
long
you
time
know
ago.
that?
Yeah, I don't know how you measure that.
Yeah.
2 to 4 feet tall. So basically, Massachusetts has its own version of the Bermuda Triangle. It's in the southeast part of the state, west of Cape Cod, and it's called the Bridgewater Triangle. According to cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, who named and demarcated the area in the 1970s, its 3 points are the towns of Ablington, Rehoboth, and Freetown. I don't know if I said any of those right. The triangle encompasses Hockomock Swamp, one of the largest swamps in New England, as well as the Freetown State Forest. I don't know if it's Freetown or Freeton, but anyway, we'll say Freetown State
Mhm.
Forest and the city of Taunton. The Bridgewater Triangle is supposed to be a wild place full of high strangeness and terror. Ghosts haunt its roads and marshes and forests. UFOs streak its skies. A few cryptids call the triangle home. Bigfoot, of course, and thunderbirds.
Oh.
Puckwudgies fit right into that bizarre melee. So, puckwudgies, which can be spelled a few different ways, range in height from 2 to 4 feet with oversized human facial features and a thick bush of quills or bristles sprouting from their backs and heads.
Hmm.
From behind, they look like porcupines standing on their back legs. Puckwudgies are often depicted as wearing simple clothing and carrying small bows notched with poison-tipped arrows. So they're
Wow.
like little menaces.
Yeah.
Um, some stories go as far as to imbue them with magical abilities,
Oh.
which reminds me for some reason of the like rock trolls from Frozen. You know what I'm talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. Yep. I can
And the
picture
drawing they
those.
put in here of the Buckwudgie is like a terrifying version of
Oh,
that.
yeah. I was picturing like a kind of cute little
Yeah,
porcupine, not like
terrifying
that. Yeah.
looking. Um, Pukwudgie has been translated variously from different Native American language as person of the forest,
Hmm.
little wild man of the forest, little people, and little people who disappear. So
Oh.
makes sense, the
Hmm.
name. These creatures are humanoid and intelligent. And stories of them can be found throughout the Great Lakes and New England. In Massachusetts, these cryptid beings originate from Wampanoag lore, which describes the creatures as being mostly minor nuisances until people attempted to either expel or exterminate them by enlisting the help of Mashop, the giant who created Cape Cod,
Hmm.
which
Cool.
that's I was not aware
Yeah.
of.
Uh-uh.
The attempt failed, and the Pukwudgies became angry and malevolent. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who what a name, who lived in Massachusetts, included Pukwudgies in his 1855 epic poem, The Song of Hiawatha, in which the creatures try to kill Kwasind, one of Hiawatha's friends. These days, the creatures are essentially viewed as gremlins. They're responsible for everything from minor mischief to murder. One of their most notorious practices is to cause brain fog in their victims and lure them to their deaths over cliffs, which
Whoa.
again speaks a little bit to like the Mothman thing with
Mm-hmm.
that bridge. It's like when there's
Yeah.
tragedy, we try to, it's like knocking on wood comes from
Yeah.
like deafening temporarily the elves or fairies that live in
Uh-huh.
the woods. They can't make
Right.
your wish not come true. But it's like
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
see the psychology behind the creation of some of these.
Definitely.
Uh, but it's funny because um, the deaths have this part's not funny. The deaths are classified as suicides or accidents because obviously there isn't a Pukwudgie option on the autopsy.
Uh-huh.
Um, but in 2017, local police in Freetown affixed Pukwudgie crossing signs near the entrance to Freetown State Forest on
Oh.
So
Yeah.
funny.
Play
It
into
was
it.
actually, yeah, it actually turned out it was an attempt to slow motorists down because there are so many animal collisions on
Mm.
that road. But, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think the last one I have, yeah, which was the last one. Just double check. Yeah, is the Dover Demon.
Oh.
Bum, bum. This
Mm-hmm.
is an alien type
Oh.
located in Dover, Massachusetts. Earliest sighting was a little more recent, 1977. It's
Hmm.
3 to 4 feet tall. So the Dover Demon was a 2 night only show, but what a pair of nights. It
Wow.
included pot smoking teenagers, a SWAT team of paranormal investigators, and a unique enough critter, somewhere between alien and animal. And this is what expanded the boundaries of cryptid kind.
Hmm.
There are some spooky eyewitness drawings that went a long way toward bumping the Dover Demon to the upper edges of the cryptid B team.
Hmm.
And this is funny, ready to be called to the majors as soon as we bore of Bigfoot or Mothman. It's like, oh yeah,
Oh,
Mothman.
Mothman.
Um, so on the night of April 21st, 1977, three teenagers were driving down Farm Street in the Boston suburb of Dover. On one side of the dark road were houses, on the other side, a short stone fence separating the road from an empty field. The driver of the car, William Bartlett, spotted a strange creature scrabbling on all fours atop the stone fence. According to the book Mysterious America, he described it to both police and private investigators as 3 or 4 feet tall, half of which was its large watermelon shaped head. Its body was like, quote, a baby's body with long arms and legs,
Oh,
which is
weird.
just a really creepy
Uh-huh.
description. Its color was bright peach, like Fred Flintstone in the Sunday comics. This is still his quote.
Uh-huh.
And it looked to have a texture like wet sandpaper.
Oh.
It sported no discernible mouth or nose or ears, but it had glowing orange eyes. Its hands and feet had long digits that wrapped around the stones on the wall. Bartlett would later admit to a few puffs of the magic dragon that night, but not a hallucinate a weird monster amount. No
Yeah.
one else in the car witnessed the creature. Bartlett went home and drew up an iconic sketch of what he saw, which has become one of the most recognizable sketches in cryptozoology, which, of course, we will also share.
Mm-hmm.
2 hours later, now April 22nd, because this was the middle of the night on the 21st, about a mile away from the first sighting, another teenager was walking home on Miller Hill Road, which intersects with Farm Street. His name was John Baxter. He saw a diminutive figure coming toward him. Thinking it was a kid he knew, he called out to him. The figure didn't respond, and when they were 15 feet away from each other, Baxter realized the thing wasn't human. It ran off on two legs, and Baxter pursued it for a few steps before reconsidering. The creature stopped briefly on a rock, and Baxter saw its long toes wrap around the rock and its upper limbs wrap around a tree. Its eyes glowed orange. Baxter ran away, hitched a ride home, and would go on to draw another tattoo-worthy image that closely matched Bartlett's only a couple hours later
Wow.
in a similar area. The next night, April 22nd, still, two more teenagers, Abby Brabham and Will Tainter, were driving around Dover when they saw a creature in an adjoining field on Springdale Avenue, which also connects to Farm Street.
Wow.
Only Brabham got a good look at the creature, describing it as a hairless tan monkey with an oblong head, its eyes glowing green.
Oh.
So there's a difference there.
Yeah, but still.
All of these sightings occurred in a little more than 24 hours across the stretch of 2 miles of Dover, and then nobody ever saw the Dover demon again. It became a story passed around the halls of Dover's high school, destined to be forgotten when Star Wars debuted a month later, except that Lauren Coleman needed bread and milk. The cryptid expert lived in the next town over from Dover. About a week after the encounters, he happened to be in the Dover Country Store when he saw a sketch of the creature that someone had taped up inside the shop. He inquired about it and then immediately began investigating the case. After interviewing the witnesses, he brought in Joseph Nyman, Ed Fogg, and Walter Webb, all of whom were members of various UFO organizations and lived in nearby towns. Webb was also assistant director of the Hayden Planetarium at the Boston Science Museum. Coleman had no reason to suspect that the creature was from the stars, but he knew that Webb's scientific mind would come in handy. The team of Fox Mulders re-interviewed the witnesses, checked weather reports, talked to the police, interviewed parents and teachers and other character references, visited the sites, reenacted the encounters, circulated the drawings, and in general paid more attention to the case in the direct wake of the sighting than perhaps any other cryptid has received. Coleman himself was the one to dub the creature the Dover Demon. The investigators finished their report in September of that year, unfazed by the debut of Star Wars. The report, which was written by Webb, concluded, "The Dover Demon is a disturbing, bizarre affair. There are many frustrating, troublesome aspects about it. It is without apparent precedent. But despite the doubts and questions this episode raises, I believe a hoax is unlikely, and the report should be classified as a low-weight unknown." Today, almost half a century later, that area of Dover is virtually unchanged. Large houses, low stone fences, open fields, forest. Although I could suggest, this is the author, I could suggest one small change, a plaque dedicated to the Dover Demon affixed to that classic New England stone fence that lines Farm Road on which it was first seen. And this is a little photo of it for you.
Oh, weird.
Scarier looking than it's described.
Yeah.
Really creepy looking.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely post that. So that is the Dover Demon, and I'd say the highlights of Northeast U.S. cryptids.
Yeah. Wow, the Dover Demon. That one's cool.
It's very alien-y.
Yeah, especially because so many people saw it, or not so many, but quite a few. And it disappeared so suddenly.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah. Very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I owe all my thanks to J.W. Ocker and their commitment to the cryptid life. Well, we'll keep on keeping on with more cryptids. Maybe next episode, maybe not. So tune in to find out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Girls Gone Spooky, and email us your spooky stories at girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. And until next week, stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.